I can see the countdown on my screen. You don't also have to do the
Way
countdown.
to not even start the intro. Good thing you wanted to start right after the countdown, and you just didn't do it at all.
Hey, guess what? This is the intro. That's the theme music. It's playing. I don't know what it is yet, but it's playing. Hi, everybody, and welcome to I Bought Toys Today, the show where two old friends celebrate the best part of the toy collecting hobby, telling each other what we bought. I'm John.
I'm Cohan.
And the good news is I bought toys today.
And I bought toys today as well.
You know what else I did today?
Well, you mowed the grass yesterday. I don't know, showered?
Yeah. But it was sort of more related to what we're talking about here. I was sitting with my oldest son. He's 5 today. And he wanted me to come sit by him because he was watching some cartoons. So I asked him, I was like, hey, buddy, do you want to watch some of Dad's cartoons? And he goes, yeah. Which I knew was a lie. But like I wasn't going to miss out on that opportunity. So I was like, sweet. So I came in here, and you can kind of just see them down in the corner there. That is my stack of DVDs of the first season of Thundercats.
Can't see them.
The original Thundercats.
Can't see them at all, but
that's okay. So I was like, I'm going to show the kid Thundercats. Now, I haven't seen Thundercats in a very long time. I'm familiar enough with it. There's probably a lot more to the show than I could actually recall. But I was like, we're going to watch this thing. So I put the first episode in. The theme song hits. And I do have a moment when I'm sitting there watching Thundercats with my son. I do get a little sentimental. Boy, it's a wild show. We watched the first episode. If you've never seen it, like the Thundercats all start out naked.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like Lion-O is a kid.
And
go ahead.
And then he's the one who grows up. Why the kit and cat stay the same?
Yes, I was. We can't get in. That'll be the whole show.
Yeah.
Why that happens, I have no idea. But I watched like the first 5 minutes of it, and again, it's been a long time since I've seen the show, and have experienced it with my eyes. And a couple minutes into it, I'm like, this show is so clearly a Rankin and Bass production. There is so much to it that resembles their old Lord of the Rings cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the way the characters move to the sound effects. I got a little ways into the second episode where the mutants meet Mom Ra the first time. And like the way the colors shift and the screen changes when Mom Ra is coming out of his casket for the first time is absolutely the same effects that they would use for like the ring wraiths. And like the way they animate the mutants' faces. Like you remember the big sort of hunched over lizard mutant whose name is
Slive.
like, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just Gollum.
He's Fat Gollum.
Yeah, like he's Gollum's big brother who was like a linebacker in high school or something. Because like if they just for whatever reason had him say "my precious," it's the exact same thing. And of course, it is a Rankin and Bass cartoon. Like it's in the credits. I just hadn't seen it in so long, and that's not something I would have picked up on watching it, whenever in the 80s. and just as someone who enjoys that sort of animation history, because we watched the heck out of the Lord of the Rings cartoons growing up.
Yeah, but that
Um,
second one is bad.
yeah, the one that's completely different,
Yeah,
because there's like
you got
there's the one
you
that's
do the
more.
Hobbit, you do the Fellowship, and then
Mhm.
the I think it's Two Towers. It could be Return of the but I think it's Two Towers.
I think it's
It goes off the
yeah,
rails.
because it's just very rotoscoped.
Yeah,
Like the animation is very very odd.
and they add live
Yes, it's
action,
very bizarre.
and like Aragorn looks like Thunder the Barbarian, or I should actually more accurate, probably Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's very weird. There's also I just saw this in that um, I think it's Return of the King. I think they skipped anything to do with the Two Towers,
It could be.
but like in that rotoscoped animation, there's a scene where Aragorn is running and the actor trips over his own sword, like his the scabbard at his hip goes in between his feet, and as he's running, his foot comes forward, it catches it, and he just falls over. They kept that in the movie. They just animated right over it. Just you
I
know,
yeah, I haven't.
like I said, it's been a long time since we've seen any of it. Um, but that's why I just got such a kick out of watching Thundercats and going like this is like they finished up Lord of the Rings and just hopped on over to this.
Yeah,
Like it is so clearly the same animation style.
and again,
It's great.
like all those '80s cartoons. I mean, different animation styles. Which reminds me, I'll have to play that into later on. But so I mean, from Transformers to GI Joe to Thundercats, He Man, Mask, even though they were all in the '80s, I think I'm trying to think back. They all had their own distinctive styles, of animation. Very closely related, I think, to one another, but still, you knew the difference between, and not just because of the characters or that kind of crap, but just the way they're drawn and what happens, and it was just good stuff. It was
Oh no, it's
again, you're looking, and I know you're much younger than me, but like growing up, I mean, I will never forget, like, I kids today don't know the concept of Saturday morning cartoons. What a I mean, my sister and I
it's a
would get
bummer.
would when they would come out, we would get you would see the schedule in the newspaper, and we would just start highlighting what shows we want to see. The shows we always watch, new shows coming out. Oh, and we had plans, and we would, like when that premiered, we would get our butts up. We'd go downstairs. Mom and stepdad didn't care. They were in bed, and knew we weren't going to do anything wrong. Made some cereal, sat in front of that TV, and would watch that first weekend of Saturday morning cartoons. Oh, what glorious, glorious! And kids don't know what that means today.
No, but picking up on that, I know what you mean. There is an ability to sort of tell when different, like completely different shows with completely different IPs come from the same animation studio. Um, like that's why it was fun to recognize Thundercats as, oh, this is so clearly like Rankin and Bass. Um, like there are other cartoons like, oh, this is so clearly Deke, or this is so clearly like Film Roman. Um, that I've even started to sort of be able to do the same thing with action figures. It's like I collect sort of random sort of 90s properties like Wildcats figures and good old Skeleton Warriors back there. And if you look at them, like there is something that's sort of similar in just the way like the from the plastic looks, to how the bodies are structured, and there should be, because those are both lines that Playmates produced. And it's you just sort of start recognizing these elements, like, yeah, I can tell if something was made by Playmates as opposed to Toy Biz. If it's old enough, like if something was made by Galoob, like it sort of looks a certain way as well. I don't know if I can explain it very well, but like I've just started to be able to tell, like, this is how this company used to make stuff. This is how that company used to make stuff.
I couldn't do that. Toy Biz versus Hasbro. You set up some X-Men, whatever, and I'm like, okay. I might tell you. I might be able to tell you like what year it's from or how recent it is, but not like, oh, this is Galoob. This, yeah, I'm not that.
I think these days, like, we could tell the difference between like a Hasbro, like GI Joe Classifieds, and a Super 7 GI Joe.
Well, yeah, but because they're totally different. Not, I mean, like if you have I don't know who's on your wall back there. I can't see X-Men wise. Storm, Nightcrawler, whomever. Is that Toy Biz?
Sorry, Nightcrawler, whomever. Yeah, that's the original.
Okay. So Nightcrawler's a bad choice because he's got the suction cups on him. But if you were to remove the suction cups on Nightcrawler and set him up against like the one I have in my cabinet over here over my shoulder, which I'm blocking, I mean, could you tell the difference between Marvel and Marvel Legends?
And that's also a real tough choice, because that Nightcrawler also looks completely different from Nightcrawlers that Toy Biz made like 2-3 years later.
Yeah. So
because they're like the first lines they put out, and I have a bunch of examples that I could pull up to show you. Like, their first lines of X-Men figures look very different from their second lines already. Like, there was a big change.
Yeah, and to me, it doesn't. It doesn't matter overall, and it probably doesn't for you. You're just able to spot it better than I am. But it's the toys I want. The toys sometimes I didn't even know I wanted until I saw it and went, I want that.
Oh yeah, it's a completely useful skill. It's like being a sommelier. It's like I can swish some wine around and be like, hints of oak and raspberry and orange peels. Or I could just be like, this wine's good.
Yeah.
Now, but anyways, let's talk about some toys that we bought. And you bought some toys.
I did. I'm gonna go first. It's not. I guess you can call it a toy. It was actually a game, a board game, and this place. I saw it on Facebook on Friday. Yeah, I think it was Friday, Thursday or Friday, regardless. And it was this grand opening. It was called the Geek Peak, and it said we sell toys and cars and this and that. And I probably didn't read as close as I should, but when I saw vintage toys, I go, right. So a friend of mine and I, we went out to there yesterday to their grand opening, and that would have been July. What's today? The 8th, 9th. Oh yeah, so we went July 8th.
There's no way to know.
Yeah. So anyway, we went to the grand opening, and they opened at 3:00. And doing a little more further reading, it sounds like they kind of want to be like a place not only you could purchase stuff, but just kind of hang out and drink coffee and have lunch. And not that they sell any of that, but like you come in and just enjoy the space. It's not very large, and there's a building next to them where it looks like they might be expanding to. But they did offer yesterday. They did offer free coffee, free pizza. There was like a meatball something. There were little sandwiches. So they were feeding, and Josh and I got there about 3 o'clock, like right a little after three, right when it opened, and we went in. And it's a neat little store. It's not an actual like vintage toy store like an Apple Jacks or by me anyway, or like a Dollar Vintage store. It's very small, but they have I did like I will say the way they have their toys organized. It was pretty neat because it was pretty organized. Like here was your Marvel, and then you took a step past them, and here was your DC, and then it was here was your Mario, and it was pretty well organized that way. But as you got further down the line, kind of past the toy section, it kind of became, and I hate to say this because I want to promote them, and the owners were very very nice. I'll get to that in a minute. But then it was like they had old cameras, like old you know you know photo cameras you could buy. There were record
Nice.
albums. There were some different kind of even like glassware and bowls and things like that. But that was nothing specific. But then they had like an old Barbie Corvette in the box, and Jim Tomey jerseys and things like that. So it came kind of like you got past the toys. It kind of like a hodgepodge of different stuff. In fact, my friend bought a replica of a map of Cleveland from 1843, and it was framed. It was very nice. They had magazines you could buy, tons of cards. And so when I got in line to check out and spoke to them, I have you can't see over here in my armoire that I have tons. I have several series of Marvel cards and whatever. And so I asked them. I said, "Hey, do you guys?" I said, "Not today, but do you guys buy collections?" And they were like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Well, I have a ton of Marvel cards, so I'm thinking that I'm going to let it go for another week and a half, maybe, and let it settle down. Once kind of the buzz is over, contact them and say, hey, look, I've got they're sitting here collecting dust. And I mean, I've got like complete collections, like from card one to card whatever, plus all the chase cards, like the holograms or the special ones, whatever they did for those series. And I mean, they're in there collecting dust. They're great cards, but I do nothing with them, so I'd like to give them off. So anyway, so the first thing I bought there actually was for my daughter, and one of her favorite animes is Attack on Titan, and I happened to see this board game, and so Attack on, I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I'm like, this is Molly's favorite game. So I pulled it up and I flip it over. I'm looking back at it, and it's like, you know what? I got to get it for her. And not she's not a collector. She's not a toy hound like me. But coincidentally, a couple hours ago, she came over and was here for dinner. And I said, "Hey, kid, I got you something." And by the way, she just went and saw Taylor Swift in Cincinnati, so she was excited about that and told me the whole story. She was just on cloud nine. Lots of good stuff happened to her there. And then she hung out in Michigan for another 5 days or so with her boyfriend and his family, and they had a lot of fun. But anyway, so I show her this. I'm like, you can open it, you can keep it in the cellophane. It's totally up to you what you want to do with it. I saw it, thought of you, and she's like, I've never seen this, and she was kind of looking at the back, and it's like, oh man, I'm like, yeah, play it or not. You can keep it wrapped up as a collectible like me, or you can open it up and play the hell out of it and just have fun with it. So that was the first thing I bought. So that was the big purchase, and I was kind of happy. It's like I could have probably saved it for a birthday present, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna give it to her. So
Nice. And these days, I think board game adaptations are a lot better than they used to be. I think that area has gotten much, much better. Because I assume the Attack on Titan board game um, works much better than the X Men board
oh,
game.
huh? Where'd you get that from?
I robbed some old man.
Yeah.
Um, because do you remember the time we even halfway attempted to play this thing.
Yeah, it was confusing and not good.
No, there's even if you can figure out how to play it, I still don't think it would be fun.
The best part about it are the little figures that come with it, but unfortunately, they're not painted.
Yeah, which is why it's just sitting here where I can lean over and grab it, because maybe someday they will be, um, but who knows? Well, very good. Well, then you want me to
Yeah,
go?
hero.
Okay. Um, I bought a couple of things that were very important finds for me that are maybe two out of the top three figures that I've been looking for.
Wow.
So it's been a big week, um, and
May I
I've
interrupt for
just
one
really
moment?
enjoyed. Yes.
Do you want to discuss your embarrassing fail, or just not even talk about it?
Which one?
Well, you know, go on.
Okay. Um, I was gonna say you get if you want me to talk about failing, you gotta be a lot more specific than that. Um, but in there's a handful of it's not a handful. I'll start again. We can cut all this. In my Marvel Legends collection, there are a couple of sort of niche corners that I like to collect too. Mostly do X-Men figures, like I've said. Have a lot of X-Men villains. Have the whole Age of Apocalypse line. Um, almost, I think I have all the X-Force characters. Almost all of the X-Factor ones.
Got the
Um,
B and
I've
C
got my
teams.
hey. That's I don't know what you're talking about. X Force is an A team. But speaking of B and C teams, one of the other sort of odd 90s sort of specialties that I've really gotten into are collecting the New Warriors figures, which, for some strange reason, Marvel Legends put out figures of New Warriors characters because apparently they just market straight to me. So up there, just tucked away in a corner, because they don't have the whole team yet, but they've got Firestar, Nova, who went on to be like pretty solid, decent names. Like Firestar is recognizable. She was on Spider-Man cartoon. She's an amazing friend. Um, Picked up a Darkhawk figure who it's been a while since I've actually read all the New Warriors. But he was around. He was on the team for a little while, and then good old Rage and Speedball. Um, he's a better figure than he deserves to be. He looks really good
He's a
up there.
crappy character overall, but go on.
He's a silly character, but like I'm looking, it's a it's an odd figure to be as cool as it is. And just he's got a neat look, a fun color, and this is not. You don't need to defend Speedball. He's doing his best. But I've left a blank spot on there um, for quite a long time because there was one member of the New Warriors that I just couldn't find, but I knew I was going to pick up eventually. And I kept telling myself that, even though I never saw him at any show, at any store. I I saw him once, but he was loose and didn't have any of his accessories. So as tempted as I was like, I'm going to believe in myself that I can find a complete one. And I'm not going to pick up this one. I'm gonna hold out until I find the Night Thrasher that I deserve. And this week, Night Thrasher showed up. So I've got a good my good buddy Dwayne Taylor here with his Skateboard? Sure. Because nothing would help a grown adult fight crime in a more coordinated way than a skateboard.
Man, look, I love me some B and C list characters, as you know, and we will talk about later on. But you just
Yeah,
love scraping that barrel.
this is a great looking figure, though.
I'm not saying
He's
it's not
got
a good looking figure. It's just a go on.
he's got his cool batons,
Mm-hmm.
which if the camera would focus on them, also have. Wow, it's not trying whatsoever today, is it? Um, they're also very cool because they connect, so that's fun.
Is he like Marvel's version of Kick Ass?
Well, I mean, he's got sort of a Batman-y quality to him.
So he's
Um,
badass?
I'm trying to I'm trying to think of non-Marvel characters to compare him to. He's sort of Nightwing-ish, um,
Nice.
but as the leader of the New Warriors, I always felt like he was older, so I don't want to compare him to like. Not that Nightwing is a child anymore, um, but he seemed more like Batman age-wise, at least.
Hmm.
And he was like Night Thrasher, at least when I was in the '90s, in my little bubble, was an absolute star. Like the look is both simple but fantastic. The helmet's great. Like, yeah, he's just about all black, which, you know, keep it simple. But just the highlights, like the belt, the little, I don't know, leg
Sash.
scarf. Yeah. His the tourniquet he's saving for later. Um, like he's just got enough visual elements, but like he was such a visually cool character. Um, like the cover to Night Thrasher One, which I wish I could pull out and wave around, is iconic as far as
You
I'm
know what?
concerned.
I will
And I
say
think it's
this. At that time in the 90s when comics were booming, I bought Night Thrasher 1 because of the cover. And in my, you know, adolescent brain or post teen, I was still a teen. I was like, this is going to be worth some money. And I don't, I'm pretty sure I don't have it anymore. I think I sold it off a number of years ago. Um, but it's like if I remember correctly, like the background is all just like bright blue, and it's got like the white like hyperspace things, and he's just diving forward.
yeah, it's very dynamic and it's just all like it's an exceptional like character in motion shot.
Yeah,
Um, and I think I'm gonna say it's New Warriors 25. Like the New Warriors and the Night Thrasher covers were some of the best sort of '90s schlock because they did all of the gimmicks. Like I think it's New Warriors 25 where it's just his head, um, but like the actual cover, his head is cut out. You open up, it's actually sort of on the inside where there's a second cover page. So they were doing like the die cut
yeah,
covers. Um, they were doing the stuff where sort of embossing the titles and puffing them
yeah.
out. Um, I don't remember if there were any sort of like holofoil ones, but maybe. Um, I don't know if they hit any milestones big enough for them. Um, but it was like it was great '90s stuff, and he had such a, and especially in terms of '90s superheroes, like this is such a simple design when you think of like a character and Night Thrasher's been around, but you think of like character design from the '90s, like he should have shoulder pads, like with spikes on them. He should be wearing 22 different belts, um, and have like a gun that's also a hologram and can like turn into a ship that talks to him or something. This is such a sort of classic and like simple design that could last. And as far as like '90s stuff, it's amazing that it's not so over detailed as to just look terrible. Like it's so simple. It's classic.
Did you buy him in box or was he loose?
He was loose, which is exactly what I wanted because he was going. I knew he was going directly on the shelf, standing up there in front of Rage, um, standing right next to Captain Britain, and just completing a little group of new warriors, at least for the time being, till they actually come out with a Namorita and a silhouette, which, good luck. Or a Marvel boy. New Warriors was great. Do you know who wrote the New Warriors?
Rob Layfield.
No,
Joseph
he
Lolo.
was gone. But
McGinty.
Liefield's um, an interesting choice um, because Liefeld wrote New Mutants and X Force. When he left, Fabian Nicieza took over, and Fabian Nicieza wrote New Warriors.
God. New Mutants, X Force, New Warriors. Some of my least favorite. Who was the? I think he was a New Mutant. Like the computer looking thing had.
That's right. Warlock?
I don't know. Was that his name? He was like a robot type looking thing. Had like shock of black hair. I don't know. I just remember him going. That just looks lame. Maybe he was X Force or X.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Nah, that was more New Mutancy stuff. Um, but let's talk a little bit about X
Oh
Force.
no.
You brought this on yourself. You know I love me some X Force, and I have spoken to you at length about how much I enjoy almost every character on that team. Um, one of these days, I'll probably take an entire episode to talk about Cable.
I won't be
But
here
today I'm
for
going to talk about. I won't need you to.
that.
I'll be I'll be just fine. Um, this is a figure. I'm going to start with a figure that I've had for a very long time. This is my Shatterstar that I've probably had since 1994 because that's when this one came out. This is Shatterstar 2. This is the costume he wore during like the Greg Capullo run, the Tony Daniel run. Um, it's very good. A buddy of mine had the first Shatterstar figure, and I was always very jealous of that. Um, because Shatterstar was just another gem of the '90s who, like, for lack of a better term, was so '90s. Like, there's this cover of Wolverine, maybe '61, where they're like nose to nose, like he's trying to, you know, sword Wolverine. Wolverine's trying to pop some claws in him. Um, and that's a just like the Night Thrasher one. That's an iconic cover from when we were growing up. And Shatterstar is just fantastic. And last year, I went to a show here in town, um, and I was walking past. I want to say it was um, the tables for Mike's Vintage Toy Store, um, and they had just sitting there the first Shatterstar figure, little Shatterstar 1. And he was like $6-7. And I went, well, yeah, I'm getting that. I mean, loose, just like the one I had, complete. It's got both the swords. Um, and it's his very famous sort of Liefeld
I was just saying
costume.
that's the
Um,
Shatterstar I remember. That costume.
and this is a great example going back to how like Toy Biz has changed. Like, look how different these are, and these figures maybe came out a year, maybe 2 years apart,
Mm-hmm.
and like it just structurally, um, like they just look like they're made from different types of plastic, even.
Huh.
Um, and so it was really this figure that got me interested in looking back at sort of Toy Biz figures that I didn't have, because I still had a solid number of my own collection left. You'd given me a lot of yours, um, but it was this one that really made me sit down and take a look back at the old Toy Biz figures and sort of rekindled um, my affection for them, because a lot of them aren't great.
No.
Like the first ones are kind of rough, and there's a sweet spot in the middle where they're kind of good, not perfect, but they've got heart. Then around like 96, 97, they just get buck wild, and they take on all sorts of bizarre shapes and forms. But to make a long story short,
Too
good night, everybody.
late. Clue. I called Clue the movie.
Looking up this Shatterstar um, helped me discover that Toy Biz made a third Shatterstar, and I never knew this.
Really?
Because by that time, I
Same in
guess,
the '90s era.
yeah,
Okay.
it was in the same line, just at a point where maybe I had fallen off, or maybe I just hadn't gotten around to it. Um, and I've always complained. I complained to you about this a couple weeks ago, because I found a bunch of old issues of X
Mm-hmm.
Force, and I especially like this run. It's affectionately referred to as the road trip era with Adam Polina art, and it's when they transitioned into these sort of yellow and purple costumes, which, I mean, this is issue 53. It kicked off right after the Age of Apocalypse, sort of in their we'll say around somewhere in the 40s, and they were in these costumes, I think, until like issue 100. But for some reason, this is the Shatterstar we think of, even though Shatterstar looked like this
Can you know?
for quite a
Wait,
long
wait, wait, wait,
time.
wait, wait, wait. Bring that back, and then don't hold it at an angle. Hold it straight to the camera. I didn't. No. Okay. I want you to cover your face. Turn it. Turn. No, you're still holding it at an angle. Okay. Now get the glare off of it. Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't quite see it before the way you were holding it.
I also especially like this cover because he's fighting Cruel on it, um, which is just the most obscure possible character, and his figure's hanging on the wall above me, and I absolutely love it. So this week, I got Shatterstar 3.
Excellent. Well done. Was that the box you showed me? Okay.
Yes, it was.
What company was it from?
Um,
I'm sorry.
what?
You ordered him from who? What company?
Um, it, it came from a company called the Yojo Outlet Center, which I think is in Cincinnati.
Okay. Yojo
So
Outlet Center.
it's
I'm
it's
going to
just
have to look
some
that one up.
store somebody. I'll text it to you. Um, and it came loose, like it came bagged up, but it came open like this, um, and it's in fantastic condition. I mean, this isn't like a figure grading kind of show, but this guy looks great. You may notice one thing about him, though.
Same body mold as the other one.
It's the exact same
So
figure.
it's a repaint.
They just changed his colors.
Yeah, a repaint. That's
And you know what? That's
yeah.
fine. Like that's great. Um, they even repainted his swords to this sort of golden coppery color. The if I can get this thing to actually focus on him, there's one big difference where on this
You're
guy
pointing to.
there's nothing
Please
on his
don't do
belt.
that. You're pointing to his crotch. You said there's one big difference, and you pointed to his
Yep.
crotch.
Get ready. Um, but they actually took the time to paint a little X on his belt buckle,
Okay.
which I thought was a just a
Well,
very
not
nice
only that, they
detail
gave
that they
him
didn't
no.
have to
Hold that other
include.
figure back up. Bring it.
Oh, now you want
Well,
to see
yeah,
him. Okay.
but they also gave his belt buckle texture and painted the pouches. You can see them. Look at the one in red. They're all just one
Oh yeah.
matte color.
Oh no, those are yeah. These are still like they have texture. That's just paint. There's no
Well,
texture
but
to the
that's what I'm
belt
saying.
buckle.
They gave him some variation.
Yeah, I changed them up a little bit.
I mean,
Um,
I've got several of these GI Joes that are the same way. We took this guy and made him Night Force and just gave him a different color.
oh yes, I'm very happy, and but it just warms my heart that they made sort of the purple and gold version of him, because it's a look that X Force had. Like the whole team sort of was in that style for such a long time, but you never see figures that match that style. They always go back to like 92,
Yeah.
93, um,
Well, that's good, man.
and give you that like
That's a fun find.
their costumes. And I have like I joked about how I keep accidentally getting Omega Reds, um, but I get Shatterstar intentionally. Um,
And that's
like
okay.
I'm
For what I'm about to
like
show,
I'm thrilled.
for what I'm about to
I'm
show, I
thrilled to
didn't
have
say
all three of them loose. Like these look real cool up on my shelf. But also back there, I have the giant Shatterstar. Like they made like a 12-inch version of this
wasn't I
guy.
there when you bought that? Wasn't that like PowerCon, our first PowerCon or somewhere in there?
No, I think we saw him, but when I actually got him, still in box, taking up a lot of space on the shelf. But he's worth it. Um, like his Marvel Legend is up there. I've even got both of these guys carded as well, sitting on the wall. So it's real nice to have
Uh-oh.
um, this little Shatterstar shaped hole in my collection finally filled in.
That is good, man. That makes me happy for you.
It's very good. And if just in case you're wondering, because I have the other two uh, also carded, uh, would I be interested in getting this one carded? It's in the
Yeah,
mail.
I was gonna say it's gonna be coming, isn't it?
I was I was hoping it was going to be here by the time we recorded this, but it just hasn't yet. And I don't know where I'm going to put it because I can't. There's not a spot next to the other two, so we're gonna have to do some rearranging.
Rearranging.
I think my good buddy Adam X the Extreme over there might have to get a new spot.
Yeah, I do know the feeling. Well, shall I dive into what I purchased?
Yes.
Um, Nothing even remotely close to Grail. Like I said, I went to this new place that was is not a vintage toy store, but they do sell vintage. They do sell modern, and like I said, the Geek Peak. I plan on revisiting them and talking to them, and like after it kind of establishes itself, I'm interested. So I've seen these online and in the stores as high as anywhere from $18 to $20, and as low as $12. And I got them a little less than that, but I got some Marvel Legends. Would you call them 3 3/4? We'll start with Cap. Little Captain America there. There's a glare on Cap there. Look,
Oh, cool.
look Captain America. Still not sure if I want to unbox them or not. Relatively cheap, again. But there's no real articulation on them. They're very, very 1980s GI Joe. They no arm bend, no knee bend. Or well, they no,
Yeah, they're very old school.
yeah. And so really, could I pose them? And I just wanted to help the business. I wasn't like dying to find this Captain America, but it's just classic Cap,
It's very classic.
right?
It's very good.
Right. And you sent this to me months ago, and I said, "Oh, it will be mine." Oh yes, he will be mine. There's Luke Cage, aka Power Man, and that classic the
Very good.
classic Power Man. Neat little file card on the back as well. Um, just fun, and they had a lot there. There was Iron Man, Iceman, Spider Woman, Doctor Doom. They had all the again just great little figures. They're not right. They're not overly indulgent, but like for like when they first came out for like $18, it's like that's really not an $18 figure, Like at 12, I was like, okay, 12, I can almost do it, and again, I scored them for a little less. I actually got them for $10 a pop, so that was nice. Um, Probably not going to take them out of the package just because just again just fun artwork, and just good looking. Not really posable. You couldn't even really do a kind of any action scene with them if I wanted to, or a diorama scene if I wanted to. Um, but I just want to take them out to play with them. But I probably won't when all is said and done. And unless they make an Iron Fist or a couple other ones, these are probably the only two I'll ever own of these. So I'm just going to leave them in box for right now, and see where we go from here. And then the third thing just happened to catch my eye, and I have to go on a bit of a tangent here. So I'm in for people who don't know me, I teach high school, and I teach high school English, and we have to always do our degree and add hours to our degree. So I'm taking an online class. Let's talk about integrating graphic novels into your instead of teaching like classic literature. And so I'm doing this whole project, and I'm going to make a long story short. You're supposed to say too late. I gave you the door and you didn't walk through it. Anyway, so I'm focusing on a graphic novel that I happen to own, and so I can do it that way. And it's the sensational She-Hulk. One of my favorite characters. I have so many of her comics. Love that she was the first one to break the fourth wall, not Deadpool. And there's even a comic I think for Deadpool where she makes that joke about. Anyway, and I just happened.
Too late.
Yeah, there. Thank you. Happened to be flipping through, and I saw this, and I went, "It's kind of a sign," and I got to buy it. It's not, and my PowerPoint presentation is called "From Savage to Sensational," right? And kind of how she developed from the Savage She-Hulk to She-Hulk, and as lame as this is, I was like, it spoke to me because what I'm doing, so I bought it. It's the Savage She-Hulk fan. Isn't that just great? It's so lame. It's so good. It's got a see-through green roof. Uh,
Oh, very good.
uh,
Need one of
the
those.
rims on the tires you probably can't see, but they are also green. Um, I could have gotten the complete set if I wanted to because they were all there, such as the um, the bread box, which was the Black Widow's van, the Combat Medic, which was Scarlet Witch, the Volkswagen T1 panel, which was the Wasp, the Quick D delivery. That doesn't sound right. That was Spider Woman, and She Hulk is the custom '77 Dodge van. Boy, I gotta go light. I gotta see a little better to find out what year these were made. God, I hope they were recent. Um, oh, I can't. Looks like 2016. So a number of years ago. But
Good.
man,
Is it? Yeah. Can you see anything on the bottom of the van?
not that I get, not that I can make out through the plastic. No, but man,
Okay.
like I said, like just because I was doing a project on her, and I was like, I got to. It's so silly, but
That's great.
may
I was gonna say that's not the only one. That's not the only one you have, though,
of
right?
her, yes.
Or at least that's it's not the only
Oh
vehicle.
no, that's where I was headed to right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Because we've got, let's see what these years these are. 2016 on this one, and no, can't see the day on that one. But literally walking through a drug mart, the Iron Fist,
There
the
it
Iron
is.
Fist 80 El Camino, man, purple. Why purple? When he,
Why not?
oh,
It'll really make the green and yellow pop.
well, you could get the Holland Gas. Looks like the Punisher on that one. The Ghost Rider 55 Chevy panel. The Doctor Strange. God, I can't even see these characters. Looks like Doctor Strange, the GMC motorhome. Again, Combat Medic,
Sounds very nice.
and then 104. This Hot Wheels bad boy, and coincidentally dressed in purple, but the car is green.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. The Fearsome Muscle Car, the J47. The other three are Punisher, Iron Man, and Venom. And then my boy, my man, Danny Rand. So it seems like this picture should be over here and this picture should be on this one. It doesn't matter. For the price I paid for both of these, like I remember walking, literally, I was in Toledo with my buddy. We were picking up stuff it was Rite not Drug Mart. And we happened to walk down a toy aisle, and I was like, "Wait, what's that?" Well, that's coming home. I don't care how much it costs. It was like $5, maybe. But yeah, but this was this just spoke to me. I said, "There she is. There's Jen. Gotta get me the She-Hulk." So as much as I rip on you for your Shatterstars and your Nightwings or Night Thrashers, you again, the door is wide.
I mean, I do think She-Hulk is slightly more prominent than Night Thrasher.
Love her.
Maybe there are moments where he peaked over her as far as popularity, but when Night Thrasher gets his own Disney Plus series, like, give me a
And
call.
I don't care what people say. I loved that series. That was so much
It
fun.
was a very good show.
It
Very good
was
show.
a lot of fun, and they did the character justice. I thought. They obviously toned her down. And again, this is something I talk about when working on my project for my class. Particularly the sexuality, and actually the graphic novel I use, written in '85 by John Byrne. You can start seeing the levels of satire that he's building to which he eventually becomes, and also the themes in there um, are really um, um, I'm losing the word
Good.
for today. You know, there's
Oh,
her
just current.
current. Thank you. Her accepting herself for who she is. Like at the end of the graphic novel, because at the time she's still a member of the Fantastic Four, and after the whole thing, spoiler if you haven't read it since '85, um, you know, he says you can never transform back to Jennifer again. And he's like, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is blah blah yakka schmackety. He's like, the bad news is you can't ever transform back to Jennifer. And then there's like it's the last page of the not the last page, it's like the second to last page, but it's like panel, 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 and like the panel of her and Reed sitting there, it's dead silent, and then the next panel, she goes, "So what's the bad news?" And it's so great because even at the beginning of the comic, she says, "I prefer being in this form anyway. People are going to stare, people are going to mock, so I'm going to dress this way, I'm going to act this way because it doesn't matter. People are going to look at me this and anyway." And it really is a great message, being like, you are who you are, right? And accepting who you are, and screw what everybody else thinks about you. Who cares? And I think that's one of the things we can talk about. But I just I will say, for as tedious some of this coursework is, some of the stuff like going back and now like reading it with a much more, again, I probably haven't read it since like 1990, you know, with a more adult and a more adult eye as I'm talking about toys. Um, I just think you really can see a lot, and even just the vernacular and the language they use. And you know, She-Hulk fan. I love your reaction, by the
So
way. Just a general great laugh.
the moral of the story is She-Hulk
Mhm.
fan.
How could you not love it? How could you not love it? Stupid Hot Wheels She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, very good.
You're, I bet you would have never guessed that.
No, I mean, it was very easily apparent it was She-Hulk. I would not have guessed She-Hulk fan.
And it's staying boxed. I won't unbox it. I mean, there's no reason
Nah,
to.
why would you?
And again, yeah, right. I mean, but it was just like I just, and it was
It's
literally
very good.
under the same rack where I was looking, I was going through the legends, and there's Luke Cage, and then I looked down and I happened to see these stupid cards. I think the first one was like, I don't know, maybe it's Spider Man or whatever. I was like, oh, yoink! like I grabbed it like someone else would be like, oh, I need a She-Hulk fan. No, this is my precious.
I believe they are. I don't know if they've canceled them, but that what, 3 and 3/4
Yeah.
size line. I think they're at least taking a hiatus from it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised they canceled. They're fun looking figures, but these would be like no insult intended for like your son. There's no except they're okay. Cap's got a shield, right? But they're very basic.
Yeah, they're
There's nothing to
yeah
them,
they're real reminiscent of the old Kenner
right?
figures, um, which all were the exact same figure, um, as charming as they were. Like I have the Cyclops one from that line,
Mm-hmm.
um, and much the same way. Like I'm just going to keep them in the package.
Yeah, there's no reason really to unbox them. Um, Again,
Yeah,
like when it comes to these figures, like we've talked about before, it's now collecting my favorites. Um, I don't need the whole entire Marvel Legends series. I just want my favorite characters, or whom I like, or who looks good, or you know, I'm kind of jealous. Yeah,
exactly. That's
exactly.
what I'm saying.
I'm kind of jealous of you. You jumped the gun, or you beat me to it, and got all those Guardians figures, and now I want those Guardians figures after I saw the movie. But I really think I want like Gen 1 Guardians figures, but they're probably going to be more expensive now.
Well, next time, the thing I found is those older Guardians figures are actually real easy to find at shows. Like they might be loose, but they're
I'd open them anyway.
really,
I mean, depending on the
yeah,
cost.
like they're be and because I just think that a lot of times it's like the MCU stuff that you see most prominently like at shows. So you'll see some Guardian stuff out there.
I didn't see a
At
lot
least
at
I
Toy
feel like
Ohio,
I see a lot of Guardians
but
figures.
Toy Ohio is not the right show to look for Guardians figures at.
Maybe it's just me because it's always been in the back of my head that I've like, why do I not have any Guardians? So maybe that's why I just kept seeing them everywhere.
Maybe, yeah. But now since Guardians 3, but
It's very
I would
good.
love to build the figure of Cosmo. Um, so I'd have to get this line because I think the Cosmo is a fun build a figure, and but I would still like the original Guardians, you know.
Well, before we wrap up, then, because I think that's all the toys we bought. Um, Outside of toys and toy collecting, anything we should tell people to keep their eye out for?
Well, we were talking a little bit ago about movies, and I've got two movie recommendations. If you haven't seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie, it is just a pure pleasure to just if you know D&D, you get it. If you've never seen D&D or don't know what D&D is, it doesn't matter. It's a fun ride. The second one I watched a couple of weeks ago, Renfield with Nick Cage's Dracula. It is a riot. It's not going to win any Oscars or whatever, but the story of Renfield and Nick Cage's Dracula, it's I just enjoyed the heck out of it. Just sit back, don't try to like critique this movie. Just enjoy the ride the movie is. So much fun, so brilliant. So it's just great.
I'm I don't quote me on this. I don't know 100% for certain. You might have recommended the same movies last
Well,
episode.
then again, watch them again. I don't care. Great movies. Great movies. Anyway, what you said you were going to collect something? What?
Um, yeah, I think one of the things I want to set my sights on is I have all my Shatter Stars. Um, I think I need to go like keep going in that direction and fill out my collection of cable figures because I still have a few loose like Toy Biz cables from that I've just had since the 90s. Um, but just like I'm gonna be able to have all the Shatter Stars up there, I think it'd be great to get the whole run of of cables, and there's like 6 or 7 of those bad boys.
Mm.
Like they were pumping them out like he's Wolverine or something. And much like Shatterstar 3 here, there are a couple of those that I've never actually seen in real life. So it would be I think that the last couple are kind of difficult to come by because just being at the tail
Mm-hmm.
end, there's not as many of them out there. They were making them like they were Batman costumes. Like there's an Arctic armor cable or something. There's like an urban assault cable. I do have the scuba one, um, but I never had the. Oh, the Arctic one is just a repaint of the scuba one, by the way. I never had the space one. There's a cable in a spacesuit. They got real wacky. But I think it'd be great to just have all those guys.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say I have his legends. I have the Marvel legend of him that I want. Like I don't have the Josh Brolin one from Deadpool. I think there might be another one out there that. Oh yeah, there's the one where he's carrying the baby on his chest. Like I don't need that one from good old Messiah Complex era. Little baby Hope Summers. That wasn't the best series of his. It had its moments, but so anyway, I'll be maybe looking for Cable next.
Okay. Yeah, right now I'm kind of on hold. There are a couple things I'm looking for, but not worth mentioning yet. And if and when I decide to pull the trigger, we'll see.
Have you decided if you're going to pull the trigger on coming down for PowerCon?
When is that?
August.
It's about a month. I just talked to my kid today, and I got to move her into college. I think August 13th.
Yeah, I think it's that same weekend. 11th, 12th, 13th.
Okay, so if I were to do PowerCon, it would have to be that Friday or Saturday. I couldn't do Sunday.
We'll figure it out.
We will.
So, even if you don't show up, I'm sure I'll send you a lot of pictures and
I'll
stuff.
Be weeping because I'm missing point.
I'll take I'll get a selfie with me and Dan Larson flipping you the middle finger. I'm sure
Dan Larson will be down with it. Good guy.
Well, that's I Bought Toys today. If you've made it this far in the episode, make sure to subscribe if you haven't. If you want to like the video, go ahead. If you want to dislike the video, I blame Cohan for that. But either way, thanks for watching.
But you don't have to worry about notifications.
Because there are none.
We will not notify you if a new video has come up or not.
It's a secret. This is a secret channel now. Switching all of these to
That's
private.
Right. Secret channels, not like the Secret Wars.
Secret channels. Anyway, this is I Bought Toys today. I've been John.
I'm Cohan still.
And we bought
toys today.
Toys today. Who knows what we'll do tomorrow?
Thank you.
Probably shop for toys.